All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Enjoying the time change right now. It's almost whoa. It's after 5, bright and sunny outside from my perch here in Melville, Long Island. I hope you are having a great day. I love this time of year. I get all kinds of giddy and stuff. I get so excited when we turn the clocks ahead. I would like some people say leave standard time permanent. I would like to go to daylight savings and leave it like that. I like the extra sunlight, the longer day. To me, life is better. It gives you more time to for me, especially the nice weather, to enjoy the great outdoors and do things after work. Uh, mornings are just not as good for me as after. I have to be in to work early in the morning, so that's me. Anyway, welcome to the show. Be the boss of your money. It's a show about helping you take control of your finances. I'm not doing this show to tell you what to do next or in 2 or 3 steps. I'm doing the show to help you make better decisions for you now and in the future. We talk about what's coming next. Life cycle investing is a big thing that we talk about. So what comes next for you? What should you be focusing on? When you're 25 to 55, the answer is a lot easier. Sock away money, invest it, get ready to retire. It's really when you get married, some things come into the play, but it's not that much. Children certainly brings in a whole new wrinkle, but by the time you have children, it's really important to have your personal finance down pat. Like, you should be perfect. Like, you're paying your bills should be automated. You should know what's coming in, what's going out. You should know more or less what you could spend on dinners for the month, what your budget's going to be like for the weekend, for the month, for the year. You really should have that stuff down, because once you have kids, you're just exhausted all the time. There's so much going on. And by the time you have a minute to sit down and consider your financial situation, you're not going to want to, because you're going to want to break, right? But it's when you hit about your mid 50s, maybe a little before, maybe a little bit after, but I'm going to say mid 50s. The kids are mostly out of the house, maybe college, maybe one or two left the nest, maybe one or two married. But that's a point where you start to have more of a couple of things. You have more time because, you know, you have more time because you're not rearing children anymore. You are deeply involved with your career, but you know about how to do it, so your work doesn't actually take you as long to do it. And you start to get back to enjoying leisure things that you've always wanted to do or that you used to do. But what comes with that is a shorter time frame to when you need the money. And that's when you have that, wow, I'm a lot closer to turning 60 than I thought, or 65. And there are some things that I need to consider. Now, if you're 55, Medicare is still 10 years away. Social Security is still 7 years at the earliest to claim it. But it's still important to be aware of how some of these things work, because you know that when you're 55, the next 10 years are going to go by quickly. Ask anybody who's 65, ask them how quickly did the last 10 years go by, and they say in a flash. Make sure you don't waste the time and do the things that you need to do. It could be 53, it could be 58, but you have a life cycle that you're following. I've guided many people through that life cycle, so I more or less know what to do, but what's next. So let's roll a quick intro, and then we'll talk about the market, about some of the large cap stocks, tech stocks losing some steam, and we'll see if there's anything to really, anything that's worth being worried about. So stick around, and I'll be back in about 20 seconds. All right. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mitch Goldberg. If you want to learn more about what we do here at Client First, and if you want our contact information, if you want to reach out to me, and put a one-on-one, either phone call, in person, or Zoom call on the calendar. Check out our website, clientfirststrategy.com, and we'll talk. It's probably worth 10 or 15 minutes of your time to speak with me. I'm a financial advisor with over 30 years experience. And follow us on social media. I'm on Instagram at InstaMitchG, LinkedIn, Mitchell Goldberg. It's easy enough, right? And on Facebook, Client First Strategy, and YouTube, Client First Strategy. So follow us there. We put out a ton of content. I create I make my own content. I don't use generic content or from companies like Fourfield or FMG Suites, whatever. I only put out my own original content. I create content daily. So it's from the heart, it's from experience. And I say it and mean it in a way that can impact you, that it'll sink in. Again, I get rid of the generic crap that's out there that so many people are putting out. The generic crap, like when you, at the beginning of the month, you get like 20 emails from different financial advisors, and each email is exactly the same because they're all using the same content service, which is just like generic dribble articles. 5 ways to do your financial spring cleaning, like something that you've read in Inc. magazine like a gazillion times. I don't put that stuff out there. No, not me. Okay. So what should you be thinking about when you hit your mid 50s? You should be thinking about how much you have now. If you can earn a 6 or 7 or 8 or 9% return on your money, like what would each one equate to? And if you could maximize your retirement plan contributions, if not maximize, at least get close to it. But you should be doing as much as you can to sock money away between 55 and 65. It's an important time to do it. It's the most amount of money you're ever going to make is probably at around that age. So you want to sock it away. Another thing to think about is, when do you plan on taking Social Security? Now, a lot of people say, I don't worry about Social Security. It's not going to be anything. Well, if you're turning 70 right now and you wait to claim until you're 70, you could be collecting about $45,000 to $55,000 a year. So let's say $50,000 a year. That's not nothing. So do you want to start collecting Social Security at 62, which is the earliest you can get it? 65, 67, what age? These are the things you should know about, because at one point you're going to want to know, this is how you should be thinking, what's going to replace my income? Can I live strictly off of my investments, dividends and interest, and taking some principal out every month for the next possibly 30 years? These are the things you need to be asking yourself. The question all too often is no. So the Social Security is a big help. But this is where we get into saying, what kind of investments do you need? What should you have? Stocks? Should you have bonds? Should you have treasuries or coupon bonds? All these things come into play. Some of you could think of annuities. And, it's funny. Financial advisors who sell annuities think annuities are the best thing. It's all they want to talk about. And then there are financial advisors who hate annuities and recommend against them under all circumstances, but there's no one in between, except for me. There are times when it's good to buy your own pension. Like if you come into a windfall and you just don't think you're going to be that disciplined with the money, an annuity could make sense for you. But if you don't need to take a lot of percentage-wise out of your assets, your retirement plan and your regular brokerage accounts to live, and you're getting some good money from Social Security and a pension, and you've got, $1 million or more, and you're only taking out, let's say, 1.5% to 2% a year from your investments to supplant, to add to your income when you're retired, I don't think an annuity in that case would make sense. So that's a very simple explanation, but it's different for everybody, and that's why we take a look. Fact is, most of my clients do not own an annuity, because most of my clients, which are people a lot like you, they don't need it. It's just, you're paying a very expensive price for something with lots of bells and whistles that in a lot of cases you have no use for. So when you're paying for a long time for something you have no use for, I don't think it's a good deal, and you shouldn't either. So what else do you think about? How much Medicare could be? You start collecting Medicare at age 65. If you're working for a company with over 20 employees, you're on the company plan, you don't have to collect Medicare. You don't have to apply for it. If it's under 20 employees and you have health insurance through the company, you still have to go get Medicare Part A. You have to apply for that. And there's no premium for it because presumably you've been paying taxes into Medicare for all these years. But if you want to get the Part B and the Part D plan, B is for the medical, A is for hospitals, B is for like your regular medical doctor stuff. Uh, D is for prescription drugs. C is for Medicare Advantage. I know a good amount about this stuff, so you could call me. We could talk about this. But these are the things that you have to start looking at. So, for example, if you go to Medicare website, all right, and you could look up this fact sheet, which I'm going to show you now. And if you want this, I could send it to you, okay? But deciding whether to enroll in Medicare Part A and Part B when you turn 65. Well, most people do enroll in Part A because even if they have health insurance through a company, because you don't pay for it, you already did pay for it. And it just acts as your secondary insurance to your health insurance. But some people have to. And a lot of companies, especially companies with under 20 people, they love when you take Medicare because they want you off their insurance plan anyway. So you have that. Part B, you don't have to take when you're still working, but once you're fully retired, you do have to take Part B also. And depending on your income, if you make over $90,000 a year, you get hit with something called IRMA, income-related. It's not Medicare adjustment, income-related. Let's call it Medicare, income-related Medicare adjustment. Let's call it that, okay? When you make over a certain amount, you have to pay more for Medicare. It's not a huge difference if you have to pay more when you make a lot more money, but it's something that's worthwhile talking about. That's why we do everything we can to try to minimize taxes for people in retirement. We talk to them about Roth IRA conversions, and if they can do other things, we do it. But there's only so much you can do to reduce your taxes in retirement. But determine your enrollment period and decide whether or not enroll in Part A, Part B. If you want this sheet, you can reach out to me. I'll be happy to send it to you. So that's that. These are the things you should be thinking about when you're 55. You could go to Medicare.gov, SocialSecurity.gov, check them out, and see what you're entitled to. You should be able to see your statement of benefits in the Social Security Administration's website, SSA.gov. You should be able to see it there. Make sure you open up an account, all right, and take a look at your earnings history. Make sure it's accurate. What else? What else do we think of when you're 55? When you're 55, a lot of you might think that we're going to start getting really conservative with your investments. No, not really. We still want growth, and we still are projecting out that people live to 92. So if you're 55, you have 37 years to go. So 37 years. So it's maybe 38 years. You could go on for a long time. So we want to make sure that you still have growth potential, not just preservation of capital. Okay. So, let's see. So 37 years. I did the math. What else? So what could you get for Social Security? You should know that if you're born 1960 and after, your full retirement age, according to Social Security, is age 67. If you delay it a year, you get an extra 8%. 8% increase in your potential, in your Social Security payment every month. Every year, until you turn 70. At 70, you have to take Social Security. You can't delay it or put it off any longer. You have to, or else you could pay penalties on that. If you're under 67, you get a little bit less money every year that you don't wait till you're 67. So do you want to wait till you're 65 to retire when you get Medicare and you could collect Social Security? Do you want to retire at 63 and just pay for your own private health insurance or pay for COBRA for that and wait till collect Social Security? Do you want to dip into your savings and your investments when you're 63 or 64, 65 to hold off on collecting Social Security until you're 70? And how will that affect your net worth for the rest of your life? These are the questions that my clients have for me because a lot of people do want to retire in their low 60s and they have to know what they're giving up. Most people don't even think about this stuff until I tell them. So you have to know what you're giving up and you have to know what you could keep if you continue to go along with Social Security, with working until you're 67 or 70 years old. So let's take a quick gander at some stock market real quick. We do talk about that a lot here, okay? Pop myself up in the corner. All right. So the Dow is up a meager amount, up 12 tenths of a 0.12%. So S&P down 0.11, NASDAQ up down. I'm so tired today. Must be the hour, okay? So the Dow was up 0.12%. Let me start this again. S&P was down 0.11%. NASDAQ was down 0.41%. You cannot invest directly into an index, but you could invest in a security that tracks or mimics an index. But I want to look at the FANG stocks, the big ones. Google had a little bit of a gainer. Tesla was up a little. Apple was up a little. Incidentally, these are the three mega cap tech stocks that have been going down a lot. So finally, they recovered a lot, while the ones that have been leading the way were the ones that are down today. Microsoft was down today, not much, down 0.42%. Netflix is off a little. Amazon was off a little bit. NVIDIA was off another $17 after being down down about 25 on Friday, but it was down 100 from its high of the day. So if you look at NVIDIA, the high was 974. Now it's only 855. That's a pretty steep drop. That's like a $97 stock going to 85. And Meta was 523. Now it's 483. So it's like a $520 stock. Or it's like a $52 stock going to 48. Not the hugest drop in the world, but if you have the stock over 50, or if you have NVIDIA in the 800s, you're probably thinking, I'm a little worried. Maybe I should sell some and protect some of my gains. And when that happens, stocks start to go down. All right. So these are some of the short-term factors that move the market. So I'm not going to tell you what to do with that because there's just too many ways to interpret it. But what I do want to say is you have to think long and hard how much your portfolio is up recently, and if it's important to you to hold on to those gains, because those gains could have a significant impact on your net worth and your financial security going forward. And the older you are, the more the case is that that'll be the case, that it'll have a bigger impact on your financial security. So you have to decide, is it time to take profits and protect the gains and maybe take those profits and roll them into something else, or put them into something for preservation or stability. The stocks are not down much from their highs, like Meta and NVIDIA. They're not down that much. And NVIDIA was in the 900s for about 5 minutes. That's all it was. It was just a very quick move. The stock went from about 400 to 900 in the blink of an eye. It went from $1 trillion to $2 trillion market cap, I think, in like just a couple of weeks. Meta, the same thing. So that's the way I look at it, but it depends on your personal finance. I so appreciate you taking the time to watch the show. I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you'll watch again. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Even if you watch this in the replay right now, hit the comments and I will be sure to get back to you. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you.